mojoj duši gori, zauvek od mene biće buka, buka u vodi. Buka u vodi, 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 buka u vodi.
Poštovani ambasadore, dobrodošli u BUKA podcast. Drago mi je što vas možemo ugostiti. Praktično predstavljate organizaciju koja je najodgovornija za organizaciju izbora u Bosni i Hercegovini. Specijalno u ovoj godini izbora, kada su političke tenzije kao i obično pred svake izbore dignute na maksimum, postavlja se pitanje da li će u ovakvoj atmosferi uopšte biti moguće da se održe slobodni izbori. Od ovoliko vrste pritisaka ljudima će biti vrlo teško da možda se i odlučuju zašto glasati, da li za političke partije ili za neke ideje. I kakav je vaš pogled uopšte na političku klimu u Bosni i Hercegovini i koji su to po vama u ovom trenutku glavne prepreke za postizanje stabilne i funkcionalne demokratije u našoj zemlji?
Well, thank you very much for having me. And as you point out, it is a time of great tension, but unfortunately, a lot of this is not new. We have seen for years these ethno-nationalist leaders who have been putting their own interests ahead of the interests of the citizens of the country, undermining state institutions and creating tensions that divide rather than unite the country. And this is obviously against the wishes of most citizens of this country who want to live in a stable, secure environment. And it's not difficult to see how these efforts could ultimately lead to violence or instability. And certainly in the short term, they're frankly encouraging a lot of people to leave and find better prospects elsewhere. We have to also note the huge issue that's faced in terms of corruption. According to Transparency International, Bosnia is the worst ranked country in the region and second in Europe. So this should be something that concerns every citizen, and every politician should be held accountable. So there are a lot of challenges, but Bosnia and Herzegovina is a wonderful country with great potential. It's just a lot of things that need to be overcome to meet that potential.
Predstavljate organizaciju koja se bavi i promocijom demokratije i praćenjem izbora, sigurnošću u zemljama Evrope. Kako OSCE koju predstavljate u ovom trenutku planira da svojim aktivnostima poboljša stvari o kojima smo upravo razgovarali? Znači i bezbednosnu situaciju u izbornoj godini i neku stabilizaciju. Pomenuli ste i sami, imamo situaciju kada pričamo o bezbednosti, moramo pomenuti nametnute izmjene izbornog zakona koji je donio visoki predstavnik u Bosni i Hercegovini. Dugo se pričalo o tome, čekala se odluka naših političara. Međutim, vrlo bilo jasno da neće biti dogovora. Isto tako nije bilo baš najjasnije da li će visoki predstavnik donijeti odnosno nametnuti promjene izbornog zakona, ali to je uradio i sada imamo radikalnu reakciju političkih predstavnika iz Republike Srpske. Ta reakcija je bila i najavljena, znači i nepriznavanje izborne komisije Bosne i Hercegovine, pokretanje, odnosno skupštinska odluka da se donese pokrene Republička izborna komisija Republike Srpske. Kako uopšte u ovakvoj atmosferi taj novi izborni zakon koji je na nivou Bosne i Hercegovine može uopšte da utiče na transparentne i fair izbore u Bosni i Hercegovini?
Well, we can all agree that it would have been better if the High Representative didn't need to impose solutions. The clear alternative is for elected officials to do their jobs. And if these politicians want to reduce intervention by the international community, they must act responsibly and find sustainable, consensus-based solutions aimed at improving the lives of everyone in Bosnia and Herzegovina. They have a responsibility, and they had plenty of time to do it, and they didn't do their jobs. If we look at the substance of the amendments that have been proposed, they're actually quite technical and mostly very much in line with recommendations from OSCE and others. So we're going to continue to support the CEC and other relevant institutions to align elections with institutional norms and encourage full implementation of related legislation so that people's voices are heard in full and fair elections.
Mi to trenutno, nažalost imamo još da nemamo, ali koje su to ključne promjene u ovom zakonu koje OSCE, koju vodite, vidi, koji su najvažniji za poboljšanje izbornog procesa i javna je tajna da je recimo u Bosni i Hercegovini kontrola biračkih mjesta donosi, da ne budem preoštar, određenu vrstu prednosti u brojanju rezultata, jeli? Kako povećati kontrolu izbornog procesa uopšte poznatim metodama i da li mislite da neki primjeri iz prakse okolnih zemalja, evropskih ili svjetskih, mogu li te prakse na kraju krajeva da se na neki način primijene u našoj zemlji?
Well, there are a lot of factors that go into that. Certainly, control of polling stations is a major issue. The latest amendments, by drawing lines between political parties and control of polling station committees, ensuring that members and deputies of polling station committees are appointed by duly elected bodies, and establishing clear and reasonable criteria for political entities to be represented in polling station committees. This should help prevent some irregularities, but legislative changes alone are not sufficient, and it frankly remains to be seen how these amendments and changes to the election law will be implemented. I'd also add that it's really important to respect the independence of the Central Election Commission. The rights, the responsibilities of the members of the commission are in the election law of the country, and they can't be subject to limitation or cancellation or request for resignation, including by the executive or legislative authorities. So this is really a central issue for the process. It's important to have the appropriate laws and regulations in place, but honestly, it's perhaps more important to have the political will to respect the democratic process. Well, I think the Constitution's quite clear, and our OSCE chairperson in office and Secretary General were unambiguous. These actions go against the constitutional order of Bosnia-Herzegovina by establishing parallel structures that undermine the overall security and stability of the country. This is really a recipe for chaos, and it further undermines the confidence of citizens in institutions and in election process, which is already, of course, very low. It's frankly really destructive, and it's not what the country needs at this point.
Mm-hmm. Kako se ovo može utjecati na integritet izbornog procesa u Bosni i Hercegovini? Možemo li uopšte pričati o integritetu procesa?
Well, again, the integrity of the process it has to be supported by the institutions that have responsibility for this. And again, it's really regrettable when those institutions and the actors don't step forward and take their responsibilities in order to do what's necessary. Again, confidence in the elections at this point, I think the last polling we did had something like 16% of the population had full confidence in the electoral process. Mm-hmm. That's a shame, and that it shouldn't be that way.
Moramo doći do tog pitanja. Javnost u Bosni i Hercegovini smatra predstavnike međunarodne zajednice u Bosni i Hercegovini često saučesnicima ovdašnjih politika. Sa druge strane, mi nikako kao društvo da politički odrastemo, nikako da uzmemo politiku u svoje ruke i da krajno krajeva branimo svoja prava. Kako vidite prostor, gdje vidite prostor za saradnju i za neku veću vidljivost direktne saradnje u stvari između međunarodne zajednice i običnih građana koji žive u zemlji?
Well, I do understand that sometimes people lump all the entire international community together, and that's understandable. I would just say that for the OSCE as an organization, we're not here to tell anybody what to do. We are here to support those actors, both in government, civil society, media, and elsewhere, who are seeking to take the country in a positive direction, to build their capacities to do these things themselves. And that's also, I think, where citizens can play a positive role. OSCE is here to ensure the success of Bosnia and Herzegovina, and will continue to engage all those people of goodwill here who are interested in doing that. And it's not just true for this country, it's true for any democracy to thrive. Citizens need to be engaged in supporting their priorities, their values in the country's political process.
Kada kažete da građani trebaju da budu uključeni, ne možemo da se ne osvrnemo na nedavno usvojeni zakon kojim se praktično kriminalizuje kleveta. Svačene i od predstavnika velikih organizacija i od OSCE-a, UN-a kao velika prijetnja slobodi govora, slobodi medija. Kako OSCE vidi ovaj trend uvođenja restriktivnih zakona i kakve bi posljedice to moglo imati po medijsku scenu?
It does look like a trend, and a very negative and regressive one. Journalists play such an important role in the integrity of democracy, the rule of law, creating the conditions for a secure and prosperous society, and they have to be free to do their jobs without fear of reprisal. And at the same time, politicians and other public officials have a duty to model respectful and ethical behavior, and they have to be held accountable for their actions. And unfortunately, state institutions have proven either unable or unwilling to protect that critical space in which journalists operate. And as you well know, journalists have been subject to increasing political pressure as well as regular threats of violence. So we're going to continue to advocate for the full decriminalization of defamation and monitor the application of the new provisions of the law relating to freedom of expression, particularly focusing on prosecutorial decisions in cases involving journalists and media outlets, because again, it's more than journalism. It gets to the very heart of a functioning democratic society.
Naravno, moramo pomenuti i zakon u najavi, koji će vjerojatno biti usvojen, zakon o registru neprofitnih agencija, odnosno neprofitnih organizacija ORS, koji praktično će predstaviti ljude koji rade u nevladnim organizacijama kao neprijatelje, kao strane agente. Da li ste razmišljali o tom zakonu i da li mislite da će aktivnosti OSCE-a možda u budućnosti biti proglašene za aktivnosti agenata stranog uticaja?
Well, we consider this so-called foreign agents law as another attack on civil society and a serious and regressive shift away from the full enjoyment of human rights and fundamental freedoms. And the engagement of diverse individuals, associations, groups, organizations, and institutions in public life is vital in ensuring the fulfillment of and respect for fundamental human rights. And thriving functional democracies rest on the protection of these rights, including freedoms of expression and association. And this in turn enables citizens to come together and realize many other rights. Nonprofit organizations not only enable these freedoms, but they are themselves a manifestation of proper protection. And this law would replace nonprofit organizations receiving foreign support under onerous government scrutiny. And these laws will again not have an effect not only on media and journalists, but on human rights defenders, academics, and ordinary citizens who want to express their opinion about important topics. And we believe the consequences would be long-term and harmful, from limiting access to information to creating a climate of fear and repression. It'll silence the few remaining critical voices and would benefit only the ruling coalition. It will hurt everyone else. And so we'll continue to monitor and speak out against all these efforts to undermine fundamental freedoms in Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Vrijeme brzo prolazi, nemamo ga još puno. Predlažem da ovaj razgovor završimo u malo vedrijim tonovima. Nedavno sam saznao da se bavite političkom karikaturom. Gledao sam vaše crteže. izgledaju jako dobro. Mislim da se bavite političarima u našoj zemlji, da bi imali mnogo materijala, mada je tako i na cijelom svjetskoj sceni, s tim da bi ovdje mogli da krivično odgovarate. Naravno, šalim se. Od kada se bavite crtanjem i što su vam omiljene teme u karikaturama?
Well, I've always enjoyed cartooning from school through career as a diplomat, and a lot are just for fun. But cartoons are also a way to address serious issues in a less direct way. And I think we find that authoritarians rarely have much of a sense of humor, so they'll often miss what a cartoon is actually saying. And whatever one can say about the political situation in Bosnia and Herzegovina, it certainly does provide a lot of material for cartoons. So I'm grateful for that.
Jasno. Hvala vam na ovom iskrenom razgovoru. Jako je bitno da znamo što više o izbornom procesu i evo, volio bih da vam dam priliku za kraj da možda se obratite i našim biračima od kojih, nažalost, većina apstinira.
Well, yeah, thank you for having me. It's understandable that many people don't want to engage in the political process. They have other things going on in their lives, and it's difficult to see how they can really change things. But it's so important that people in a functional democracy hold their politicians accountable. It's their country. As a foreigner, I'm just a guest here. But the people, the citizens of this country, deserve leadership that focuses on the real issues they care about. Economic opportunity, quality education, safe, secure homes, a positive vision for the future that they can share with their children. So their voices matter, and participation in the political process can make a difference. And every country is stronger when citizens work together and seek common ground. So I guess if I had one message, I would just say, please don't give up. There's still a chance to build a bright future for this wonderful country. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.